Okay, let's unpack that conversation that, feels like it's happening at every dinner party these days. The whole, if things get too crazy here, I'm just moving to Canada. You see in the headlines, right? People looking north over safety, healthcare, just general exhaustion.
Yeah, but that plan usually hits a pretty solid brick wall when you actually look at the paperwork.
It really does.
People assume there's some kind of form for I don't feel safe, and that's it. But today we're looking at something very different, a very specific and often misunderstood pathway.
And what's that?
We're diving into materials from Kashif Khan, an immigration consultant. He specializes in what's called the Humanitarian and Compassionate Application, or H&C for short.
H&C, and this is where it gets really interesting because Khan doesn't frame this like a standard visa application at all. He treats it like a high-stakes legal maneuver.
Exactly. This comes from Section 25 of the Immigration Act.
Yeah.
And he stresses this is not some relocation program for people who are just, unhappy with the political vibe.
Right.
It's a discretionary measure. It's designed for cases of, and this is the key phrase, unusual, undeserved, or disproportionate hardship.
Wow. Disproportionate hardship. That's a heavy term. So if you're sitting in the U.S. thinking you have a case, you need more than just a feeling. You need a strategy.
You need a strategy. And Khan actually lays out a strategic 5-step roadmap. It's a path from sort of, I have a problem to, I have a legal case.
Okay, so what's the first step?
The first step is purely tactical. He calls it lawful entry.
And this one surprised me when I was looking at the notes. You can't actually file this from the United States.
No, you can't. And that is the absolute non-negotiable gateway. To even apply for H&C, you must be physically inside Canada.
So the whole strategy starts with getting there legally first.
Yes, as a visitor, a worker, a student, whatever. You have to establish your presence on Canadian soil before you can even ask for this kind of consideration.
Okay, so you're in Canada legally. That's step one. Then comes step two, the professional assessment. This sounds like where the real work begins.
This is the filter. This is where Khan's role as a strategist really comes through. He talks about rejecting applications that are purely emotionally driven.
So he's looking for something more than just general dissatisfaction, like I'm stressed about the election or crime rates are up.
Exactly. He's trying to find individualized hardship. Does the case meet the threshold of exceptional? It has to be personal to you.
And the sources mention these vulnerability profiles. What does that actually look like?
It's very specific. We're talking about, say, seniors who are dependent on family in Canada for their care, or someone with a chronic medical condition where returning to the U.S. would break that continuity of care.
I see. So it's documented dependency.
Or even severe mental health risks,
Yeah.
Directly tied to the environment they'd be forced to return to.
Which that leads perfectly into step 3, right? Evidence development. This is where you go from just telling your story to actually proving your case.
Precisely. You can't just say, I'm anxious. You need objective documentation. Khan's strategy is all about building a fortress of evidence, psychiatric evaluations, detailed medical reports, sworn affidavits.
You're proving the hardship is real and inescapable.
Exactly. It has to be documented.
Okay, so you have the proof. Step 4 is the structured submission.
This is fascinating because it seems to pivot a bit. It's not just about the suffering, it's about what you're doing in Canada now, right?
Yes, this is the establishment factor. It's huge. The immigration officer isn't just looking at why you left the U.S.
They want to see that you're putting down roots.
They want to see that you're integrated. Are you employed? Are you volunteering? Are you paying taxes? Are you part of a community?
And what if children are involved in the application?
Oh, that's a massive weight on the scale.
Yeah.
The best interest of the child is a core principle in Canadian law. If a move back would destabilize a child's life, that becomes a very powerful argument. It's so holistic. It's about the past hardship and your future integration. Okay, finally, step 5. Compliance and monitoring. This sounds like the reality check.
It is. Khan is very clear on this. Approval is discretionary. It is not automatic.
So filing doesn't mean you're in the clear.
Not at all. You have to maintain your temporary status, monitor the file. It's a long game, and you have to stay compliant the whole time to avoid any risk of refusal.
So to recap this deep dive, H&C isn't your standard immigration stream. It's a special discretionary measure grounded in compassion, but it's bound by very strict legal limits.
And I think the big takeaway from Kashif Khan's material is that success isn't just about having a sad story. It's about having a structured, evidence-based strategy, one that's executed by a professional who really gets the law.
It really makes you think. We talk about compassion as this warm, sort of abstract idea. But in the eyes of the law, compassion requires cold, hard proof.
It really does.
So here's a thought for you to mull over today. If you had to prove your own personal struggles were legally exceptional, what evidence would you actually be able to show? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next Deep Dive.